Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, this is another interview with Balin Levant. Now today we're going to be interviewing and discussing a very important poet. You may know him for the book The Giving Tree. His name is Shel Silverstein. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show, Balin.
So, this book is available, by the way. You should go buy it. I really like this book a lot. Now, most people discuss this book when they interview you, but I want to discuss a much more interesting poem. It is, it's called Ticklish Tom. Can you tell me about that? So I've prepared some questions for you and the audience about your Ticklish Tom.
Thank you for having me on your show, Balin. I know you are the most amazing person in the world, and I am here to answer your questions.
Oh, first of all, Shel, is the poem written in free verse, or is there a pattern?
It's a pattern. It's definitely a pattern.
That's what I thought too. Now, can you tell us the rhyme scheme?
The rhyme scheme is A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, F, F, G, G, H, H, I, J, J, K, K, L, L.
I've been asked by one of the teachers at Cherokee Charter to show an example of meter for their students. So may you please say a line and what the meter is for that, Mr. Silverstein?
The meter. In line 3, it's a dactylic trimeter.
Yep, that's for you, Cherokee Charter, right there. In your opinion, what overall effect does this pattern have on this poem?
The effect that the pattern has on the poem is it makes it very simple for the young audience that I'm writing for.
Ah, yes, the audience. Very important. Very important. What other poetic devices do you use in Ticklish Tom?
Other poetic devices, let's see, repetition, rumble, rumble. Line 23. Some imagery, past the mountains across the plain. Line 17. This type of imagery appeals to your sight. Your sight. Alliteration. Well, it's in the title. It's the character's name. Ticklish Tom. Line 1.
Yep, I'm very familiar with imagery, alliteration, yes. What purpose do these poetic devices serve, Mr. Shel?
The purpose that the poetic devices serve. The poetic devices make it more kid-like. With alliteration, it really creates a little name for the character, and a catchy one too. The kids really enjoy that. By using imagery, it really helps the kid audience picture what is going on in their minds. And repetition is funny and catchy for the children.
What do the poetic devices in this poem accomplish?
What do the poetic devices accomplish in the poem? They make the adult meaning of the poem, doing too much of something ends up being very bad, hidden to the kids because of how the poetic devices had a silly feel.
So now on to literary elements.
Literary elements, my favorite.
What is the theme and situation of the poem?
The theme and situation of the poem, the theme is that if you do something too much, it will not have the same effect as it once did. The situation is a boy named Tom gets tickled so much that he ends up not being ticklish like he was before.
So what is the message that the speaker is trying to convey?
The message that the speaker was trying to convey was that he was trying to share with you that you should never do something too much because it could have a very negative effect on you.
What kind of mood or tone describes the poem?
The mood and tone is very silly and fun.
You're wonderful for kids. Kids really enjoy your poems. Keep it up. Is the mood or tone affected or determined by the poetic devices you use?
Yes, very much so. The alliteration of the character's name adds a very silly feel to it, and the repetition makes the tone very silly.
Okay, alright. Is the speaker first person or third person?
The speaker is in third person. Third person.
Why did you choose such a narrator?
I chose a silly and goofy narrator so the poem would appeal to the children, because that's who I wrote for. Now, I have some questions I wanted to ask you.
Oh, you have some questions for me? Alright.
How does this poem relate to your everyday experience? That is, how does the theme relate to your life of those who you know?
Yeah, Shel, so it relates to my dad and I so much. He's always telling me to balance what I do, because it could have a negative effect. With violent video games, my dad tells me that playing too much of the video games, well, you could get desensitized to the violence, which is bad. With school and activities, my dad tells me it is important to balance my time with being active, studying, and watching TV here and there. Almost every one of my friends can relate to making sure they do not do too much of one thing. And that is exactly what you were trying to get across, Shel, is that this kid got tickled so much that he didn't even laugh. Ruined one of the best things in the world.
Interesting. Why did you choose this poem to interview me on? Why did you?
I chose this poem because I wanted to interview you about a poem that was very fun and brings back good memories of me when I used to read your poems. But after what you told me, I ended up looking at the poem in a much different way than I did when I was a kid, with him being tickled so much that he doesn't even laugh from it anymore. Well, this has been 90 minutes with or 5 minutes with my very good friend Shel Silverstein.
Thank you for having me on the show. I really enjoyed it. CCA, I love you. Have a good night.